Am I the asshole to divorce my husband and leave him with the kid after finding out I'm not biologically the mom?
How is that possible?
Yeah, how did that?
That's exactly what I thought.
Where were you?
Right,
when
was
the
this?
baby was-
I cannot believe my life has come to this. All I ever do is go out of my way to help others, but on the few occasions I need help, nobody ever comes through for me. I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 35 male, for a total of almost 10 years. Married for 6. We had what I thought was my child by surrogate over 2 years ago because after 4 years of trying to conceive with no success despite medical interventions, it turns out that I am unable to carry a child to term. I've always wanted to be a mom. Devastated is an understatement regarding how I felt when I found out I had a medical condition that would make it nearly impossible to carry a baby to term. It was even more upsetting when I had to get a major surgery to remove my uterine growths with the hope to increase fertility, and complications during surgery warranted a partial hysterectomy involving removal of my uterus only. I still had my ovaries, so we started looking into the cost of a surrogate. It is really expensive. My close friend since college, who had already had 2 kids of her own, offered to serve as the surrogate for us to cut down on costs. After 2 disappointing IVF sessions that did not result in pregnancy, she became pregnant on the 3rd try and carried a boy to term for us. I was so happy and busy after the birth. Between being a mom and returning to work after a 4-week parental leave, I didn't even notice any warning signs. I should have noticed the red flags and warning signs early on, but I did not because I was so exhausted from working so much at my stressful job and 2 part-time jobs to cover most of the bills and anticipated medical and legal costs associated with the friend becoming our surrogate. I was the primary breadwinner. My friend and my husband started talking more, and I would sometimes come home from my weekend job to find her already hanging out at our house when my husband was there. I chalked it up as innocuous, and it's good for her to get to know my husband better since she was in the process of hopefully carrying our child for us. I was grateful to have someone helping us have a child. I also thought it was weird that our son has brown eyes when both of us have blue. Then I found out that while it is uncommon, it's possible sometimes due to many genes controlling eye color. Recently, it all came to head when I took our son to the doctor's appointment. They did a metabolic panel and blood tests which showed that he had a blood type that is not biologically possible to have with me as his mother.
Oh.
He's B+, I'm A+, and husband is O+. Immediately, I started wondering if it was the fertility clinic's fault and that they'd messed up and implanted a wrong embryo. I started lining up lawyer consultations to possibly sue the clinic and looked into having a DNA parentage test done. The test results showed that I'm not the mother, but my husband is still the father. I was heartbroken and angrier than ever. I talked to lawyers about medical malpractice in the fertility clinic that we used, and then my husband confessed that he slept with my friend, our surrogate, on a few different occasions during our struggle to have her get pregnant with our embryos. This means what I thought was our son conceived by IVF and carried with a surrogate isn't my son at all, and was in fact conceived the old-fashioned way, which I can't ever do. Livid and absolutely broken at the same time doesn't even begin to describe how I feel. I've been breaking down into crying spells over and over again about this. He claims he didn't even think pregnancy could result because he pulled out, and he had always assumed that he was the reason for our early struggles to conceive, both before my hysterectomy and during the IVF insemination process with this friend. I felt an immediate triple betrayal from what was supposed to be my husband, my friend, and now knowing my child isn't even mine. I had such white-hot rage and delirium. I immediately left home and stayed at a hotel for almost a week before asking my parents to let me stay at home for a while. I admit I left our son with him. I'm now filing divorce because he cheated and betrayed me in the worst way possible. I also cut off my friendship with my friend, the surrogate, and feel afraid to trust anyone else now. I've seen a divorce lawyer to see about giving up my legal rights to this kid so I don't have to face such betrayal or owe child support. My husband and friend/surrogate admit they were wrong and keep apologizing, but also called me immature and heartless to just give up on my son like that. My parents also say I can't just give up on a kid that I went through so many legal and medical hoops to have. When I told them I refused to stay in a cheater marriage and I'd rather adopt someday with a better and more trustworthy partner, they also told me that I was wrong and that maintaining my parental rights isn't much different than if I adopted outright. They say it isn't blood that makes a family. They are all about me divorcing my cheater husband, but keep telling me that I'm making a mistake, giving up my parental rights. Some of my other friends agree with what I'm doing. A few admitted that they weren't big enough to swallow pride and care for an affair baby, or to see daily reminders of my friend/surrogate's betrayal every time they look at her son. I just want a clean break and a fresh start. I'm also looking at relocating several states away. Am I the asshole to give up my parental rights in the divorce because a kid I paid a lot of money to have, born by surrogacy, isn't biologically mine at all, but the surrogates? Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I will divorce him tomorrow because he doesn't clean anymore?
Tomorrow?
I'm at my wit's end. Everything changed after marriage, and I couldn't tell you why. Our biggest problem is cleaning. My husband used to clean up after himself, but after marriage, he just completely stopped with no warning. We were dating for 3 years, engaged for 1, and now freshly married. We're 28 and 29. After we got married, my husband stopped cleaning. He wouldn't pick up after himself, wouldn't do his agreed upon chores, and suddenly became a slob. It was like he's been intentionally dirtying things up. I stopped doing all of my housework out of protest a month into our marriage, and I now live in complete and utter filth. I'm rarely home due to the mess. I part-time live with my sister at this point, and he doesn't even care. I come home only to sleep at night, and sometimes I don't even come home at all. It's like we aren't even married anymore, and it's draining my mental health to the point where I've had multiple breakdowns this month. I'm completely over it. I wanted to get married, but this is not the man I married. I would much rather be home where I belong, but I'm not a maid. The mess is as follows. Wet food in the sink from him throwing his plate, finished or not, in there. Bugs. Garbage littered everywhere. Puddles of mystery substances. The trash is never taken out. All of his laundry is dirty. Clothes unfolded. Crumbs galore. Takeout everywhere since he won't cook. Dishes piled to the sky. I can guarantee you there's more, but I can't describe it right now. It's like he's a toddler. It's exactly like mommy isn't cleaning up, so he's tornadoing through our house and not caring. Before, he would scrape his plate, rinse it, and leave it. He would take the trash outside, take the cans to the curb. He'd sweep, vacuum, occasionally do laundry, and he would never eat in the bed. Now he does it all. A few hours ago, I told him that if he doesn't clean up tonight, then I'm divorcing him tomorrow. If I don't see some progress on the house, then we're over. He told me that I'm being an asshole for no reason and that cleaning is no longer his job. I nearly popped a fucking blood vessel. We did not decide on that. He's telling me that I'm throwing everything away over pride and that all new marriages go through this transition.
No.
Bull fucking shit. He told his mom, and she called me not too long ago and told me that I need to calm down and reconcile. I really love my mother-in-law, and she's one of the most level-headed people I know, hence the reason I'm writing this post. She's making me wonder if divorce is too far because it's only a mess. But it's mess. She told me that we can reach a compromise, that I need to take a breather and talk about it all, but I truthfully do not want to. She's reminded me of our good times, and life won't always be the way it is now. But I'm feeling incredibly skeptical. I cannot stand filth, and I can't live like this, even if it's for him. Am I the asshole? Edit. After writing a long comment, I'm done. I know I just posted, but I truly am done. My mother-in-law made me second guess myself, but all I needed was to think about it and hear an outside opinion, even if it's just one. He fooled me for 4 years, and marriage is not trapping me. He used to clean up after himself and be the most wonderful partner. It's a real shame that he showed his true colors after we paid so much on our wedding. I'm not a maid and he's not a toddler. Even toddlers are more responsible and respectful than him. And top comment, not the asshole. Your husband's behavior is completely unacceptable. It's one thing to have a different cleaning standard, but it's another entirely to actively refuse to contribute to a shared living space. The level of filth you're describing is not just messy, it's unsanitary and disrespectful. And then somebody else said, the part where he says he doesn't have to clean now that he's married is especially bothersome. He truly believes this and will never change.